What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Adventures in Drunk Fish Keeping. That is tasty. So I was going to do a quick video tonight for people who are thinking about different filtration systems. The difference between canister and sump. And since I actually have both set up at the same time, I think it'd be a pretty cool video to do real quick. So, if you're someone who's setting up a tank and you can't figure out what kind of filtration system you want to do, I'm going to open this up so you can see. This is your standard canister filter. Pretty much a self-contained unit. You have a in and out tube. This one's got a UV light on it. This is your pump to reprime it. You break this loose. I'm not actually going to break this loose while it's running, but basically this is set up in different racks. As you go down, there's different racks in this for doing, biological, mechanical, and chemical filtration. Pretty simple setup, and you basically have a feed tube where it will pull water from the tank, and a return tube. Not really the best on return flow, but it's just putting some water out there. Still recommend a power head on fresh or salt setup unless it's a very small tank or you're trying to not do a lot of flow. Sumps, which this will take a second to actually cut the light on so you can see. Sumps, as you can see, you have your initial flow in here, and everything in my tank is not hard set up because it's easier to move around and it's easier to fix on the fly. It doesn't look as good as an entire PVC hard setup, but you can do a lot and move a lot without having to do a lot of crazy stuff with it, which is beneficial if you got to move the tank, or if there's a leak issue, you can go in there and fix it fairly quick without a lot of expense and or time spent. For the flex hosing, and this flex hosing you can take apart anytime you want, cut, clip, clean. But basically, you see here, there's a filter sock down in there, and you have basically from the dual overflows feeding in. This center section is going to have heater. There's a media reactor in there. There's a lot of junk built up in here. I haven't moved this just because this has kind of come set with the tank. There's a small area right here for just catching of the junk. I've got a humongous bag of carbon and additional carbon and chemical filtration here. And this is for your sump, or excuse me, not your sump, your protein skimmer and your return pump. Benefits of both. If you're doing a smaller setup and you don't want to have a lot of extra stuff or don't have the space, canisters are awesome. If you're doing a larger tank, I'd say anything over about a 55-gallon tank, go ahead and just do a sump. Now you can do a sump on any size tank. You can do a sump on a 20-gallon tank. You can do a sump on a 40-gallon tank. You can do a sump up to whatever. Your sump size has to match in correlation with your tank size. So case in point, this is a 35-gallon, 40-gallon sump underneath the 120-gallon tank. And this is a Aquatop 400, which does good for up to about a 55-gallon tank. They do make a 500 series. Not the best for big reef systems. So, differences between both. Sumps, or excuse me, canisters. They're easy. You basically hook them up and you're done. You don't have to clean them as much. I usually break this apart about once every month and a half. Do a light rinse off of the mechanical and do a light rinse off of the chemical just to get junk built up off of it. Kind of leave the biological alone. Canister setups are great if you need extra filtration but you don't have the space for a sump, or you don't want to go into a sump. Now the cool things about a sump is that you have more space. Now the sump I just showed you actually has chambers built into it. You're going to usually have a feed chamber where your overflow boxes, which are these, will feed into, and then you'll have a filter sock or some sort of mechanical filtration, foam, filter sock, whatever. Then the water will go over into the next chamber. Now most people in their secondary chambers will have heaters, media reactors, maybe a protein skimmer, or whatever additional stuff you need, like a RO top-off system if you want to put that. A lot of sumps nowadays actually have that built into the back of them. The third chamber is usually reserved for your feed back your return pump. I've got my protein skimmer now because it's too big to fit into the center section, so I have it in the last section. Now, when I say overflow box, if you haven't done a tank of this setup, you have these right here, which are your overflow boxes. Now, how these are set up is you have this teeth. So your water level comes up to, you know, somewhere mid-range of your teeth. Water flows back into the section back here. You have a pickup pipe that feeds into, which it's hard to see, but you got this pickup pipe right here, which feeds into the actual tank. And you've got this return pipe, which will feed back into the tank. This takes it from the tank and actually sends it down into the sump. The benefits of a sump: you have more room, you can work with more stuff, you can put mechanical, biological, you can make a refugium in the bottom of them. You cannot do that with a canister. If you're looking for a simple setup for a smaller tank like I did on this 54, the canister is not a bad way to go. You don't have the depth. On a sump style setup, you have depth to put different styles of chemical filtration, different styles of media reactors, different styles of protein skimmers. You can add additional places for algae growth, refugiums for small copepods, amphipods. You can dose directly into it, and actually when I top this tank off, I top off at the sump, make my water level at the sump reach, and it'll fill the tank up. Sumps kind of provide you with a good overflow area if you're going to, you know, need the space if something cuts off. You are usually going to have anywhere from 10 to 20 gallons of extra water space in your sump, depending on how you set it up. I've got about 15 to 20 in mine in case of a power outage. Something happens, a pump fails, I've got enough space for it to drain down these overflow boxes, which most overflow boxes are going to hold anywhere from 5 to 10 gallons of extra water, depending on how big they are or if it's a single or dual setup. That being said, either filtration style works. Canisters are kind of a bolted up and kind of forget about it for a while. Sumps, same way, a little more set up into a sump, a lot more range. You can get a lot more out of a sump than you could just a standard canister setup. The other thing I would say, if you're doing a smaller tank, like, you know, the other night I did a video on the little Fluval Evo. Now, the thing about this, there is no canister, there's no protein, there's nothing on this because I've only got a handful of fish in here. You can put protein skimmers on these. They actually make, and you can see right here, a section set out for a micro skimmer. Depends on your bioload. If you don't have a lot of bioload, it's kind of an overkill. Doesn't hurt. It helps keep the water cleaner, but it's not an absolute 100% gotta have it style necessity. I actually haven't cut the skimmer on for this tank because it's still so new. I've only got a handful of fish and coral in here. As you add stuff to the tanks, as you add things to your systems, you want to make sure you have proper filtration because you are dealing with an enclosed system. Now, whenever you make these systems, you have a whole grouping of life in these systems that you got to take care of. So don't load them up without having the proper filtration. If all you can afford is a canister, which, you know, normally you can get most canister filters anywhere from $120 up to $400 or $500 depending on the brand, size, and what features it has. You know, this was about a $170 canister with a UV on it. You know, as aqua top. It's not Fluval. A Fluval of the same size, it's a $250, you know, canister filter. But to each their own. Sumps, you can make your own sump. You can actually get a cheaper, you know, 20, 30 gallon tank, epoxy in some dividing walls of different heights so you can get the water flow down, and you can make your own pump, or your own sump, excuse me. There's a lot of videos out there how to make your own sump. I'm not going to do one just for the fact I don't have another tank floating around to show you how to make one. Super easy to make. This sump that I have with this tank came with it. So, like I said, this, you know, kind of came with the setup, and this is a plexiglass style sump with already built-in dividing walls into the sump, which is kind of hard to show on this video, but there's different ones you can get. This is just all plexi. It's all plastic. If you're not really worried about appearance, I mean, they make some really cool ones. There's some guys out there that do ones that are like all plexiglass with different colors, and they're showy, you know, and that's great if you want to spend $300 or $400 on a sump, you know, sometimes upwards of $500 to $600. I've seen some going out for $1,000, and they are nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, they have everything you could want. They have initial drain in for a single or dual overflows with filter media, and they have an individual chamber for a media reactor, an individual chamber for a skimmer, an individual chamber for a pump, and an individual water top-off chamber, and they are nice, but they're very expensive. You could go to any local fish store or Petco, Walmart, Sam's, and get a 20-30 gallon standard rectangular tank when they're doing, like, you know, $1 per gallon deal, and buy a few sheets of plexiglass to epoxy into it, and basically have the setup you want, minus other additional equipment. But at the end of the day, it depends on what you want. Neither system is good, or excuse me, neither system is better than the other depending on what you're doing. Bigger tanks, I would recommend a sump. Really, anything over 55 gallons, sump is the way to go. You will get it back in the end. Smaller tanks, if you're doing, you know, let's say this is a 30 or 40 gallon bow front or a 30 or 40 gallon breeder tank, you can run a canister. You can't run as much bio load, but you can do a canister setup and have a nice reef setup with proper filtration that's not going to smoke everything in the tank and not end up with a lot of, you know, hurting coral, hurting fish, things like that. And finishing on this video tonight, this is a shtick, shall we say, the drunk fish keeping. I don't get smashed and do these videos. It's a joke. That being said, there's a million videos on YouTube of tanks and how to set them up and how to care for them and how to do stuff with them. To me, they're boring because they're all very cut and dry, to the point, or they're either trying to sell you something or they're clickbaity as all get out with some large broadcasting title of the video and you know, somebody who's like, oh my god, my fish did this, or I ordered this mystery fish, or I did that, and it's a 10-minute video on a fish that you can get in a, you know, any store. It's not like it's some rare random fish. We're not talking about somebody who's like, oh my god, rare fish, and they're showing you like a peppermint angel or, you know, like a platinum arowana. It's just like, oh, I got an arowana, cool, great, good for you, I'm cool with that. To that being said, if you watch my videos, I'm going to cuss a little bit in them, and I'm probably going to, you know, throw my thoughts out there. I do these videos for my own fun. I don't do them for ads. I don't do them for money. I'm not doing these videos to show off. So that being said, if you like them, subscribe. If you don't like the content, unsubscribe from the channel. Don't watch the content. No point in leaving me comments on my videos about how they're this or how they're that. If you don't like my videos, tell me why you don't like them. You know, I mean, I do this to educate, but I want to have fun. There's no point in doing it if you're not going to have fun, but at the same time, I do these because I want to, and I'll put whatever content I want out. If you want to watch them, watch them. If you don't, you don't. But I'm doing this to make a different style of video from the 950 billion other ones that are out there, because I could be like the stores that want to do a video and try to sell you a $2,000 20-gallon tank with every piece of equipment you'll never need, or, you know, be some person who's going, check out my video. Who cares? No one cares. It's clickbaity stuff. I want to do them for fun. I want people to watch them because they enjoy them. It's something a little bit different than what you see on 400 other videos. So that being said, if you like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel. If you don't like it, unsubscribe. It's easy as that. I don't care. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing it for fun, shits and giggles. You guys have a good one, and next time we'll go over a few more things on adventures in drunk fish keeping, and I've actually got a surprise for you guys coming up in the next week. Have a good one.